said to me, the key to a successful life is to find the bridge that takes you from where you are to a place that you haven't even conceived of. And for me, ESOL was this bridge. And in the next few minutes, I think you will understand why too. Soon after medical school, I was an intern in the emergency room. I wasn't one of those students who knew that I was going to be a professor of surgery on day one in medical school. Quite the contrary, I was trying to figure out which direction I should go. I knew I loved medicine, but where to next? This was in Cambridge, and they were running courses of emergency radiology within our department, and one trainer hadn't turned up. I had just finished a night shift, and I volunteered to be the spare pair of hands. In the lunch break, there was a volunteer, and there was an ultrasound machine. And I decided that here was my chance to have a play, and I was trying to make the image better. As I was doing this, a faculty member of the radiology department in Cambridge, Dr. Lowell Berman, watched. And he came and said to me, "You need to be a radiologist. What are your plans?" Back then, I didn't have much introduction to radiology as a medical student. So I had little idea what he was talking about, but it was really flattering to know that someone thought you could be something. And he took me to the head of department at the time, a person who needs no introduction, Professor Adrian Dixon. When I arrived at his office, he looked over his glasses, almost exactly how it is in this photo, and said, "I've heard a lot about you. What do you want to learn?" This is like a young intern who's given an Aladdin's lamp and a wish. So what do you wish for? So I thought for a minute and I said, "Teach me everything you know that I can't learn in a textbook." His response was to introduce me to the European School of Radiology, 2 years into its formation. He also arranged for me to spend every Tuesday in the Department of Radiology, and I sat with him while he reported. For the first few months, he introduced me to the art and the science of mastering an image. And believe me, when you sit with Professor Dixon, you go from the obvious to the extremely subtle. In a couple of months, he shifted not about the image, but to the value that you would add as a radiologist. And then from the value of a radiologist to the deeper questions as to what questions we were really trying to answer, and the value of human life, and what we believe that defines our healthcare systems, and our role and potential to transform it. If I can sum up that 1 year of learning, it would be that the image is a tiny part of a bigger story. I proceeded to be a junior resident, and during this time, I used to look up URAT case reports, online courses through ESOL. Occasionally, I got lucky and got to go to ECR and RSMA and present a poster or a paper. And I used to always come to the Rising Star Lounge to meet those who had succeeded. And I longed to hear their stories, because as every resident knows, the everyday life as a resident isn't always easy, and this is where I found hope and inspiration. As a final year resident, I came to the European MRI course and to ECR, and the team in Vienna presented images that I had never seen before. They were so beautiful, of a different league, and they spoke about multiparametric MRI, 7 Tesla MRI, an intervention which was not available to me in my program. I asked many questions, for which they were very generous in their lunch breaks, not eating lunch, providing me with answers, and giving me sequences to take back and try at my home institution of King's College Hospital. Dr. Michael Shaw was my mentor there, and he was a visionary mentor, and I only really recognize what he taught me now. He's also an ESOL trainer. He encouraged me to go and try for an ESOL scholarship, and I remember saying, "It's really competitive, there are so many outstanding residents, I will not make it." And he told me there's only one guarantee: if you don't apply, you won't get it. So I did, and I was lucky to be awarded a scholarship. It's not only having a mentor, it's having a program that supports you. And Dr. Maria Sellers and Paul Sidu, also very well known to this program, were 100% supportive of this transition for 3 months during a time that we were really short-staffed with residents. So they made a real sacrifice, and I owe a debt of gratitude to my colleagues at King's too, who covered the extra on-calls for me to study and bring something back. When I turned up in Vienna, it was like turning up in a center of supreme excellence run by Professor Harold. And I'm not just saying this to be nice, it really was like that. There was Thomas Halvik, Professor Katja Pinker, who was my tutor, Dr. Bernard Tova, Professor Balzer, Dr. Capitas, and they included introduction to one of their dynamic surgeons, Peter Dubsky. So this was already taking a radiologist outside the radiology rooms and teaching them that there were other things that were relevant and they needed to know. What did I learn? I learned that MRI could be done at an undergraduate level, a graduate level, a postgraduate level, and a level of supreme excellence. And that our duty was to find the ways in which we can do MRI to an excellent standard. They taught me how to do MR-guided biopsy, MR-guided localization, to use whole lesion excision systems, and that in a short 3 months, they had equipped me to take these skills back to England. I was introduced to PET, not as an FDG PET, but F-MISO and other tracers that could give us metabolic information of the tissue. And they gave me an introduction to the possibility of research. And in those short 3 months, there were 2 papers on which I was a co-author before I left. And that's a really big opportunity for a resident who's only spent 3 months at an institution. And the introduction to molecular imaging. Katia walked every extra mile. She didn't just give me a great time in Vienna. She took me to Rome, to EUSOBI, and introduced me to all the people who were there. The Austrian team took me to every single conference that was in Austria during that time. And at the end of my scholarship, they took me to RSNA for radiology, and then on to San Antonio breast cancer to hear about the changing paradigms of treatments in breast cancer. And without understanding how the treatments are changing, we as radiologists have no opportunity to really add value. And this was often done by Katia paying out of her own salary. Her commitment to training somebody was something that was really exceptional. During this time, Vienna gave me a platform, and I met 3 other people. I met Elizabeth Morris from MSKCC, Professor Hedy Visa, and Professor Fiona Gilbert in Cambridge. They said so many nice things that these people wanted to hire me. And hence, the conversation began on how should I go to New York, leading on to the fellowship, and on to my current position as a PhD student in molecular imaging and a dual role as a faculty member in radiology. What did I learn in New York? I learned that medicine could be precise, in a way that we didn't know it before. It was critical to understand how preclinical imaging translated into the clinic. Professor Reese said, this is an open door. Go to every single lecture you can at Sloan Kettering. And the first time I went to one on proteomics, I didn't understand much. If I'm honest, I understood about 30 seconds of a 1-hour talk. And when she saw me in the corridor afterwards, she said, how was it? And I said, in all honesty, I didn't get it. And she said, you need to go again. You need to go every week, and eventually, in about a month, you will start to understand. She was right, and the education she gave me forms the basis of my work now. Dr. Morris also has an award-winning program in breast imaging, and I got to see how the Americans practice breast radiology. And there were things that were different to what we did, and things that I could learn and bring back, and things that I appreciated in my system back in my own country, which offers healthcare for free. The next transition where I am now is at the University of Cambridge, where I get a chance to go to the lectures in the halls of biology, in the halls of genetics, in the halls of physics. And I'm learning that what I learned in medical school is largely becoming irrelevant. Our understanding of the human genome is changing medicine. And it's not really the genome, it's the epigenetics that control how the genome behaves. It's also that the Newtonian laws are turning into quantum laws. So the role of consciousness and the role of energy is going to be very relevant in medicine in the future. It's a very rare opportunity to be studying for a full-time PhD clinically translating a new modality into the clinic, learning to use a screwdriver as well as a PAC system, and then having a day job as a radiologist. And Cambridge have walked every extra mile to create this opportunity for me, for which I couldn't be more grateful. So at the end of this, what I'd like to say is it sounds like it was a glittering gold pathway, but it wasn't like that always. Every resident experiences illness, or time in their lives when they have to be a carer for somebody else. For me, it was my dad going through colorectal cancer treatment. I was exhausted in year 4 as a resident. I lacked confidence, and I had no clear vision of where I wanted to go. But coming to Vienna in the rich cultural environment that it was the fresh break in the place that I started to heal. The music, the cafe culture, and the Austrians have very good wine, and they were keen to introduce me to it. New York, it was another experience. It's a complex landscape. It's culturally vibrant and dynamic. And this was another opportunity, and the growth in the places adds to the experience in radiology. And last but certainly not least, I would say the most cherished aspects is the friends you make along this journey. And many of us were residents, and now we're junior faculty, and we still stay in touch. This was an even bigger gift. So at the end of all this learning, what may I ask that you take home with you? We need to go back to school and study, because the foundations of disease are changing, and focus on immunology, genomics, and proteomics to begin with. We need to be committed to being excellent, way beyond what the job requires. And that excellence is not just to radiology, but excellence to how we show up. To move from a competitive world to a collaborative world where we lift each other's up and get new things to the clinic and convince our funders to give us the money that we need. We've heard about big data. Semantic features, agnostic features, they're going to bring up a lot of complexity. But the secret is to go beyond that to simplicity. Look beyond the disease. Einstein once said you can't solve a problem at the level that it was created. We need to look at the host, the environment, and the ecosystems in which disease occurs to really find long-lasting answers. Discipline, and for this I really need to thank Professor Fiona Gilbert. She said that I needed to learn not only to work hard, but also when to stop, when to rest, when to rejuvenate, and have excellence on the last mile. Good ideas were not enough. To have fun, because fun was critical to doing any good work. And to remember that I always had a family, not only my own, but in ESO. So it's not a race that we walk alone. So I'd like to end by saying thank you so much to Professor Kotsianes and the ESO program, which has given me so much. Brigitte, Maria, and Lorena, who look after us like sisters and mothers when we are here, and Braco for the funding. Thank you very much.